Well, Germany is asking some pretty fundamental questions about its failure to retain its seat on the UN Security Council, and the government is facing intense pressure from the opposition and its coalition partners. Richard Kozul-Wright is Professor of Sustainable Structural Transformation at SOAS and former Director of the UN's Globalization and Development Strategies Division.
There are some important developments, I think. Obviously, the fact that the Philippines lost to Kyrgyzstan, I think, was an important development. Philippines has recently aligned itself more closely with the US. Kyrgyzstan has diplomatic ambitions, so I think that's an interesting development. Bigger voice for Central Asia, which has been neglected, I think, in a lot of UN discussions. So I think that was certainly an important development. Obviously, a lot of focus was on Germany not getting the European seat, losing out to Portugal and Austria, and that's quite significant. Germany entered the race very late and said that the problem was that it didn't really have time to prepare, but it ran under a slogan of respect, justice and peace. And I think a lot of people looking at German foreign policy over the last few years would not really associate those words with what they've been doing with respect to Gaza, with respect to the war on their own eastern border, with respect to a whole series of international incidents where I don't think Germany has taken a particularly progressive and multilateral line. So I think there are some important changes there for sure.
Does this vote then reflect changing diplomatic priorities among developing countries?
I think so. I mean, the difficulty in the developing country bloc is a very large and diverse bloc, but I think there's a growing awareness that they need to take more of the international agenda into their own hands, and a suspicion, I think, of the way in which the more advanced economies have driven and dominated that agenda over the last few years. So I think there is that sentiment that is growing in the developing country world. An interesting development that is related to the elections in the Security Council was also the election of a new president of the General Assembly. And that went to Bangladesh, and they defeated Cyprus in that election, which also is an interesting development. A very competent Bangladeshi foreign minister, a former colleague of mine from the United Nations in Geneva. So that's also, I think, part of that shift away to a kind of more independent view by many developing countries.